Hello everyone, King here for another video. In this video, I will be discussing part two of how I was accused of controlling elections or trying to fix elections dealing with air property. Now, if you see some of my videos, my previous videos, you understand where I'm coming from with this video. If you have not, please use the link below in the description box to my other videos talking about my experience dealing with air property and how to resolve the management as well as the legal issues dealing with air property. So again, in this video, I will be discussing, part two of um, me allegedly fixing elections for officers. So I'll be using, the handy dandy book here, talking about Robert's rules as well as some of the bylaws to help defute that theory that I was trying to control the elections and fix elections in my favor. So again, hopefully you've seen part one of me explaining the meaning behind me allegedly fixing the videos. If not, I'll leave a description link below or link below in the description box, or you can click on the video shown in the corner here. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna use my phone here if you don't mind to talk about the post I put on Facebook, talking about my involvement and try to uh, make up this conspiracy theories that I was controlling elections and whatnot. So remember in the first video, part one, I talked about how a cousin said that, what's the purpose of holding up the voting process, and referencing me to being like Trump, because this is around the same time that the elections are going in place for to elect a new president. So, these posts were made over a year ago, so essentially November to December of 2020. So they're basically just referencing, trying to make the comparison that I was like Trump, now by trying to control the elections and whatnot. And other members of family, cousins, you know, made their comments on Facebook because they're in total disagreement of how things are going on. Again, when time came to have elections and vote, they didn't show up, or they showed up, or they voted how they wanted to vote, which is fine. That's how it's supposed to be. But those that were uh, so much against what I was doing, trying to do things proper, decent, good order, even everything wasn't done, and they're saying the right way, their way, or proper, decent, good order, but they didn't come there and try to voice their opinions or to fix it or even vote, exercise their rights to vote. Anyway, so one of the cousins said that I think the purpose of holding up the meeting is some people don't have the proxy votes they assume that they would have by now. Just my opinion. Right, yeah, just your opinion. He didn't come and vote. Neither other members of my family who called me a liar and accused me of doing these underhanded things, acted hostile towards me, and things are not true, and so forth and so forth. They didn't come. But yet, proxy letters were mailed out, were sent out to people, were posted on the Facebook page for people to download to use as a proxy vote. So at any point in time, family members, whoever, if you were heir to property or claim to be heir to property, if you would have downloaded those proxy letters and mailed them off or sent them off or had your family members who are heirs of property, alleged to be heirs of property, fill it out, choose who they want to nominate or vote for whatever position, and then get it notarized and send it in, mail it in, or come in person to the voting, right? To show up the date of voting to vote for the person you wanted to vote for. They didn't do it. Yet again, this is over a year ago. This is November of 2020. We had elections. Elections were held in March of 2021. Majority, I don't say majority, but I would say, yeah, probably a large majority of people didn't show up. So all those members of my family who would drag my name on Facebook page, trying to discredit me, slander my reputation, damage my reputation, cause division and drama between me and my family members, they didn't show up. They didn't show up to cast their votes, even if they disagree with how things are going. Just like you can't complain about someone being the president of this great country of America if you didn't go vote, if you didn't go cast your vote, if you think that your vote didn't matter or you didn't agree with that's on you. If you didn't show up at a protest, that's on you. Yeah, you exercised your right. You demonstrated how democracy works by not showing up. But yet, the person who was elected to position of president was voted in. You can't complain. You allowed that person to win. If you didn't want that person to be president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, whoever, you didn't come to make sure that they didn't win or they didn't get voted into that position. Again, members of my family continue on. Again, I covered this in my first video. I read some of these comments that they made on on Facebook. I'm not gonna cover all of it, but I will be using again, Robert's rules, my book here, Robert's rule to break down, to refute their claims against me, and things that they said on Facebook. You know, especially this part here. I want to find it real quick. Let me see where's that right here. All right, here it is. So this whole thing is just ridiculous. How can you be running for position but also be part of the selection committee and then decide on who can run? But here's a kicker. Then the mail-in votes go to a PO box they created. It's a conflict of interest. This would be like the state of Georgia sending its mail-in votes to Trump to certify. Hmm. We're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about this, but let me go to my my Robert's rules, and I got things highlighted here where it talks about because it talks about let's see, how can you be running for a position but also be part of the selection committee and then decide on who can run, right? Okay, so per Robert's rules now, I'm going under in my book. This is page 433. I believe it's chapter. Now I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna put this on the screen here. Um, chapter. Let's see, was that 14? Chapter 14, where it says nominations and elections. I'm gonna put up there to where you can see it, but for the go right here, the designation of a nomination committee. The nominating committee should be elected by organization where possible, or else by a executive board. Now, members of the nominating committee, because that's what he's talking about. He's talking about how can you have a committee, and I was on the committee along with other individuals. I wasn't the only one, right? Anybody had an opportunity to be part of this committee to try to do fair, try to be fair, try to do things decent, good order. Members of the nominating committee are not barred from becoming nominees for office themselves. To make such requirement would mean first that the service on the nominating committee carried a penalty by depriving its members of one of their privileges, and second, that the appointment or election to the nominating committee could be used to prevent a member from becoming a nominee. So essentially what this is saying is that even though I'm on the nominating committee or somebody's on the nominating committee, we're not barred from being nominated for a position. And there's several ways that a person can be nominated, right? Is if, in this case, me filling out an application to run for office for whether it be the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, whatever, right? Or somebody from the body of heirs or members of this estate nominating me either by voice, by mail-in ballot, so writing in my name on the ballot for a position, or coming to a meeting the day of election to make a motion from the floor to nominate me from the floor, and not just me, anybody. So if somebody thinks that he or she is qualified to run for a position and their name is not on the ballot, they can come to the meeting and coming for the board and for the body of people and say, I nominate myself for this position. And we can't bar it. We can't stop that individual from throwing their name in the hat for running for office. They're well within their right. They're well within their right to do so. And it talks about it here. Again, see where I'm at here. This is on page, again, in my book, page 431, chapter 14 of Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, the 11th edition. The 11th edition. So you might have a different version, older version, whatever, but this is okay. So it says nominations from the floor. Under the procedure of nominations from the floor, the chair calls for nominations at the time established by rule or custom of the organization or assembly, which may be while the election is pending or earlier. But in any case, it is subsequent to the report of the nominating committee if there's such a committee. A member need not be recognized by the chair to make a nomination. In a large meeting or convention, a member should rise when making a nomination from the floor, but in small assemblies, nominations frequently are made by members from their seats. No second is required. So again, a person can stand up, be recognized or not be recognized by the chair, and say, I so and so nominate myself or a person to run for this position, to fill this vacancy, or to be a candidate for for a position. I think it goes on to say, this on page 432. Continuing on the theme, the same person can be nominated for more than one office, even if voting for all offices is to take place at the same time on a single ballot. If if one if one person is elected to more than one office under these conditions, the case is resolved as described on page 440, lines 3 through 17. Let me see what that says. I just talks about how voting for multiple people, but it's all right here. Again, but I was accused of trying to fix the elections, trying to hold the elections, and in the bylaws, if you watched my previous videos talking about what we're supposed to be doing to resolve the legal issues, and me being part of the board, this temporary board called managers of the property, one of the things we're supposed to accomplish was to create new bylaws or new rules of how we want to govern ourselves. And in the original bylaws the bylaws that we use as a template, it talked about who's part of membership, who can vote, and how there was going to be a committee, how the committee's going to be formed, and how you're going to nominate people to run for office. All that was in the original bylaws, and that was our template. That was our foundation to either to add to or subtract to make sure that we cover whatever issues we might cover, whatever we want in the bylaws, or don't want in bylaws. That was an opportunity. But again, people were not cooperating. Members of my family who were supposed to be on the board, who were plaintiffs in the case, didn't want to cooperate, didn't agree what was going on, didn't either want to agree or want to understand, or mad because they weren't going their way. So it had members of my family convinced that I was the one to be blamed for all this. Again, here it is, referencing in the bylaws. Talk about it. The bylaws talk about how things are supposed to be, how are we supposed to conduct business, to prevent this kind of drama about who's qualified to run for office and who should be allowed to run for office. But again, my cousin said, what do you say? How can you be running for position but also be part of the selection committee? At any point in time, he could have been a part of the selection committee, but he didn't. He didn't say, "Hey, I want to be part of that. I want to be part of the nomination and election committee. I want to be part of this committee." It then talks about the PO box. First of all, we're supposed to send the ballots in. You rather mail in the ballots to somebody's home? Is that the proper way of doing business? Again, he said it. That would be like the state of Georgia sending its mailing votes to Trump to certify. What? No, it's not. The PO box was created to have a central point to where all official mail will go. Because here's the thing: this PO box was created. I know I'm probably going off tangent for a minute, off topic, but this PO box was created because one person was getting the bank statements and one person was getting receiving from the county a tax bill, tax invoice. Does that make any sense? So you have one individual receiving at their home address the bank statements, and then one person receiving the tax invoice, the property tax invoice. Does that make sense? So you got two people receiving official mail in regards to their property. Instead of having a central location, instead of having mail going to one person's home and that person only having access to it, we go to a post office box to where that post office box is owned and managed by the board and his members or his heirs, not somebody's home. But again, I digress. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm doing. Right? It's this conspiracy to control this, control that. Show me where in today's world, today's business, that makes sense. If you got an organization, why would official mail go to somebody's home if that's not the official address of the said business or of said organization? Most organizations have a PO box for people to send the official mail, or for creditors, debtors, whoever, to send invoices, correspondence. But yet, I'm making stuff up. I'm creating a conspiracy to control elections. I'm not doing things in good order. I'm not being fair. You know, saying all this stuff about me that's not even true. That's not even true. Again, we had elections in March of 2021. Now, these individuals, my cousins and whoever, members of my family, that call me a liar, that accuse me of selling dead chickens and doing things wrong, and I should be held to contempt of court. They're gonna sue me, take me to court. They could have came to the meeting and voiced their opinions. They could have made their statements. They could have addressed a body of people, and they could have thrown a name in the hat, but they didn't do it. Regardless if they felt it was proper, they felt it was illegal, legal or illegal, they had an opportunity, they had a right to come there. And again, but people weren't cooperating from day one. They want to listen. So this is not on me. This is not on me. Again, this is all on the Facebook page. Again, I created this Facebook page with the permission and approval of the other board managers, the other two that were cooperating. Now, granted, it's supposed to be 5 of us, so 3 out of the 5, myself included, were cooperating, meeting, having meetings. I didn't just arbitrarily go make this Facebook page myself. I asked a question. I said, "Are we going to do this? We need to get information out there because people were complaining and again making false accusations about me, about the board, and why we went to court, and why you doing this and why you doing that. You doing what you want to do." I believe it was um, that was one of the comments. Here it is, cousin. We have seen what the old ways have done for us in fighting and bickering. It's simply time for honesty, new blood, new vision, and new direction. Hashtag family first. What do you think I was doing? Again, where's his cousin at in 2017? Where was he at in 2018, in 2019? When and again we had a quiet title hearing in November 2018 for 2 days. He wasn't there. What about 2019? He wasn't there. Hmm? Came home in 2020 because of COVID and what was going on. So all of a sudden he knows what's going on. You know, relying on his lawyer buddies to tell him what's this and what's that. That's good. Get the free legal advice from your lawyer buddies, but it doesn't make it better than me paying a lawyer to give me unbiased honest opinion based on the law, professional opinion, not just personal opinion, but professional opinion based on the law, based on documents, based on historical documents, the bylaws, past and present, the court actions, the agreements are made in court, everything that was said in court that's on record. I'm not just making this stuff up. There's documented evidence of everything I'm saying. Now, if my involvement in trying to do things properly, decent, good order, and have elections was not 100% the right way, fine. I'd rather be judged by jury of my peers, by the court, than members of my family who have done nothing but cause division and drama, who are less cooperative, who didn't come with an open mind and try to do things and try to resolve the issues. Matter of fact, they didn't spend no money to resolve the issues. But got something to say now, though. Has something to say, but don't even know where they're coming from. Don't even know what you going off what somebody told you instead of what you read or what you know based on your research, based on you studying the facts and the evidence to come to a true conclusion. Uh, before I in this video, I mean, I pretty much covered what I want to cover, but I want to go into showing you parts of the bylaws because I was part of that team of managers that drafted the bylaws. Granted, I did a large majority of the work, but at any point in time, they could have added their opinions, their inputs as to what needs to be in the bylaws and what doesn't need to be in the bylaws. I even asked them in the very first couple of meetings, how are we going to do this? Who's going to draft the bylaws? I asked them, do you mind if I take a stab at it? No, go right ahead. You got it. So I presented a draft version of the bylaws. This is in 2019. And again, at any point in time, they could have came with their own input, use your own notes, their own research, and say, "Well, I think this needs to be added," or "I think it needs to be not added," or "We need to vote on this and vote on that." Again, and I have the recordings of every meeting to show that I did try to do things proper and decent, good order, and give everybody opportunity to be part of the decision making process, part of the process to show what we're supposed to be doing. But again, not everybody want to cooperate. So all I could do so much. I'm only one man. I'm only one man. Okay, so I'm gonna read. I'm gonna put up on the screen, but I'm gonna read part of the bylaws that we were using to. Well, I use really to draft the new version of bylaws that were voted on. Right. So, for his membership, part of the bylaw talk about the membership. It says the quorum should be 2/3 of the membership for a regular meeting, including officers, must be 18 years or more in order to vote. And I say that because it's not so much made it in the post Facebook post, but people were making the statement that the elders are supposed to be voting on who they want to be in office. If that was true, it would have been in the bylaws, or that's what um, was supposed to be in law, a rule, part of the bylaws. Then the elders should have came to the meeting and voted or voiced their input to have that added to the bylaws, to be in the bylaws, and then ask for it to be voted on. But that wasn't the case. And whoever was supposed to represent these elders, the elder of the heirs, it did come showing that they were representing them for, in the first case, to have this statement added to the bylaws. They didn't do it. They didn't do it. They didn't have the proxy letters. They come there with documentation to say that I'm representing so and so who is an elder heir, and I'm going to vote on their behalf. Didn't do it. So whose fault is that? Not mine, and not nobody else's that showed up that day to vote. Whether it was done decent, good order or not, or whatever case may be. Again, I rather be judged by a jury of my peers and by court than members of my family who've done nothing but caused problems, who didn't, you know, put money on the table to help resolve it, or didn't show up to help resolve it. They want to come after the fact. Okay, so there's a part here that talks about elections. It says the nominating committee will be responsible for presenting a slate of officers 30 days prior to election of officers. There it is. So again, it was the announcement was made at one of the meetings that we will be establishing a nomination election committee for this reason. So I posted on Facebook page, as well as handed out copies of the application for people to fill out to be selected or to be a potential candidate for whatever position, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, so forth and so forth. They had an opportunity, and people that fill out the ballots or fill out the application, their names, their application was reviewed by the committee. It was majority rules, so there was 5 individuals on this committee. So three out of 5 votes to be a candidate, to be selected as a candidate, to make it to the final cut, to make it to the ballot. And I will say this, again, I have recordings of that meeting. I abstained from voting. I didn't need to vote. Didn't have to. If 4 people voted for a yes or voted for no, it didn't matter to me. My vote couldn't count regardless, one way or the other. If anything, I was a tiebreaker. If there was 2-2. So again, trying to do things decent, good order, trying to stay true to what was agreed to in court, is to resolve the management issues, the legal issues, do the bylaws, have elections. Again, whether someone thought it was done decent, good order, they could easily came there and voice their opinions. Matter of fact, I was accused of lying and cheating and doing all this stuff, and I was going to be taken to court and held in contempt. But what happened? Those individuals that accused me of doing it didn't show up to court, or didn't show up to take me to court, or didn't have me served. And I even had a lawyer at the time advising me. I had a lawyer advising me. So, if I was going to be served, taken to court, I would have presented that to my lawyer, and he or she would have charged me more money to represent me in court. But that never happened. So again, if I'm guilty of something, I'd rather be judged by jury of my peers than still allow somebody supposed to be my family member or whoever to sit there and spew false information on Facebook and in behind closed doors and private conversation over the phone, text messages, whatever case may be, in person, just drag my name to the mud, just talking because they mad because or they don't understand or they whatever. Y'all didn't show up when it's time to show up. Y'all didn't get involved when it's time to get involved. They didn't step up, and not on me. Again, so this last thing I want to talk about here before I wrap this up is in the new bylaws. Again, I'll put this on the screen. Uh, it says on the Washington James or the association will create and maintain a membership log of all heirs to the estate. The membership log will be used to identify a quorum for meetings and establish a two-third voting majority of the membership body or two-third majority of members present at meetings, whichever takes precedence. Nowhere does it say about elders. Again, if someone wanted to, make it known that no, the elders are supposed to be because that's always what it was never that case. If it was, then the elders should have been in charge from day one. When the richer owners died off and their children were next in line, it should have gone like that. It should go down to the children, from their children to the next generation of children, the next generation of heirs, so forth and so forth and so forth and so forth. That was not the case, and there's documented evidence that was not the case. If that's the way it's supposed to be, then my members of my family who were co-plaintiffs with me, were co-plaintiffs, should have made that known in court as to how they wanted it to be done. Again, if I wasn't supposed to be in charge If I'm not an heir or whatever, then they should have done it themselves. They should have done it themselves. They should hire a lawyer and have that lawyer law firm file a petition on their behalf to get what they wanted out of all of this instead of relying on my time, energy, and money to make things happen. And then at the back end of it, mad because things didn't go their way, mad because they didn't get what they truly wanted, spreading false information, lies about me to discredit me, to cause family to be against me, to damage my reputation with family members who I've known for majority of my life, all my life. All right, this next one is about voting. So next topic is real quick, just we hit up on voting. So again, here it is. Heirs must be at least 18 years of age to be permitted to vote in all elections and subject matters of importance. And it breaks it down. You can see it. It breaks down the types of votes, voting age, recording the votes, how the votes are supposed to be recorded, rubber votes, showing of hands, ballots, and proxy votes. So again, my cousin made a statement that I was holding elections or the alleged action of holding elections because somebody doesn't have enough proxy votes. Really, people had the opportunity to come there. They could have created their own proxy votes and came there, have it signed and notarized, and said, "Well, I'm representing so and so, so and so, so I have 50 proxy votes, or I have this many proxy votes, or and I want to vote for this person." Or they could have came there with some kind of, they could even had a cease and desist letter. They didn't do it. They could any way to stop the election, and they thought that I was improper. It was not done improper. It was being done improperly. It was questionable. You didn't come there with any action to stop it, to cast your input. You didn't do it. Not on me. Again, I'd rather be judged by jury of my peers if I'm guilty of anything. I spent my time, energy, money trying to resolve this, trying to help the family, but nobody want to listen to me. I'm just, I'm wrong for doing this. I'm wrong for doing that. Like I said, I went for my day in court. I went for my day in court. Again, I was accused of lying and cheating and said I'll be taken to court. I'll be held in contempt for the things that I didn't do, for not following through on the agreements, such as, the bylaws and the election and having a bank account. That's another topic for a video. I can discuss that too. But I think I've been talking long enough, and I think it's time for me to wrap it up. But uh, I just wanted to make this part two of me being accused of trying to fix the elections. Again, I'm hoping to get my day in court and declare the error to restore my name and my reputation. And maybe I will never restore my relationships with family, but at least I'll have my justice and have my peace at the end of the day, because it's all about doing things right and trying to help the family and not trying to steal or lie or cheat to get what was mine was never mine in the first place. I didn't buy this property. Nobody here living today bought this property. The original owners are dead. They went from being slaves to free men and women, or were born free at some point. But for anyone, they were born between, anywhere from 1800s to 1865. They were slaves in the Deep South. They were not born free. They were Their parents were slaves. They were born slaves. And the original owners, I know of my grandfather's grandfather, which is my great great grandfather, was born in 1820, died between 1900 and I think 1905, 1910. The same thing with my grandmother's great grandfather, which is my great 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 grandfather. He was older. He died, before, I won't say before the 1880s. I think before the 1880s, maybe 1890s, 1900s. But again, that's another topic for discussion. I think I will break down my family tree in another video. But That's pretty much in a nutshell. Um, I didn't pay for this property. I didn't buy this property. Neither did my grandfather, neither did my grandmother, but they were heirs to the property by way of their great grandparents or great great grandparents, original owners of the property. And everybody had opportunity to come be a part of this, but again, they didn't do it out of protest, or they didn't get involved because of whatever reason. But they had opportunity to get involved and be part of this and state their claim to how things should be done. Well, anyway, so talking long enough. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in another video. Take care. Peace.